Hello, friends. I'm Maggie Ostara. I'm a human design expert and a sovereignty mentor for awakening women in the Aquarian age. And I am delighted to get to talk to you today about the supermoon in Taurus that's coming up on November 5th. We're going to explore 5 layers of what's going on in the human design chart for that particular moon. And we've got some really beautiful alignments that are happening during this moon that are also resonating through other parts of the month. Now, I did do a longer video about what's coming up in the month of November from a human design point of view. So I'll put the link for that down below so that you can go and watch the entire overview for the month of November if you want. And then we're going to zero in right now on what's happening on this super moon. So let's go ahead and get started. In this time of deep transition, as we are moving out of one world age and moving into another world age, as you are very aware, I'm sure, in your own life, there's many things that are falling away, some things that we're actively releasing, some things that we're breaking apart so that we can let them go, right? And there are other things that we're attached to that we're kind of navigating. And while we're doing this, we're also co-creating a new earth. We're co-creating the world that we would be proud to leave to our children and our grandchildren and future generations. And so there's a lot that is going on all at the same time, which is why I love to kind of go into the layers of what we see in a particular moon, because it shows us the different layers of what's going on and the different kind of influences that we're navigating at any one time. And I'd like to bring in the layer of awakening, meaning waking up to the ways that we have been conditioned and programmed to live lives that are not of our own design. They were handed to us, we inherited them, we were programmed with them, and we're waking up to the ways that these have confined us and kept us in boxes that are ill-suited for us. And this is one of the huge benefits that human design offers to us, is it gives us new perspectives to understand who we are individually and collectively. And then the transits from human design help us to see how different things are being highlighted that are going to then interact with our own individual lives, our own individual charts, and so on. So as we're diving into this moon, I invite you to consider, what do you feel is really kind of waking up inside of you? Where are you feeling like you're getting a new perspective, like a shift in the lens that you've been looking through, and things are starting to look very different? What is that for you? Where is that happening for you? And how can human design really support you as a partner in order to bring forth perhaps perspectives on yourselves or what's possible that you haven't been as aware of or as awakened to up until now? So this is when what we're going to be looking at as we're diving into really kind of what these moons are highlighting for us, because it helps us to understand what is the dynamic between, I'll just say, like for me, for myself, for my individual human design chart, for my individual life, and what's going on in the larger cosmic world, where we have the interactions that are going on between the planets and between the sun and the earth and the moon and all of us. Right. And so we get a perspective on that. And I think it's really beneficial when we're in such a polarized world where things are going so kind of wonky and you don't really know what to believe. I'm really seeing that in this world of AI, there is so much information, so much stuff that's getting put out that isn't accurate, and we have to work really hard to try to be discerning through what's actually accurate. So I hope that what I provide you with in this particular video today and in what I offer on my channel is something that is helping to give you some signposts along the way, and to do that in partnership with human design as a system, and then also with your own inner being. Because remember that human design always sends us inside. This is what our strategy and our authority is about us being able to go inside and connect with our inner being. And the supermoon is going to help us do that because this supermoon in Taurus is happening in the gate 2, the gate of allowing. This is also known as the keeper of the keys in the I Ching, which is the foundation for the 64 gates in human design. And so it is a powerful gate in its ability to receive, its ability to allow in. And so we're being asked here, while the moon is lighting it up and also the earth, we're grounding ourselves in this sense of allowing and this sense of receptivity, because the 2 is also associated with receptivity. The 2 is the site of the magnetic monopole, which in the lore of human design is a single pole magnet that lives at the bottom of the G center. So the G center, you can see here it is highlighted as yellow because it's defined. We'll get to that in a minute. But here's the G center, and right at the bottom of it is the 2. And it's where this magnetic force is that is attracting things into our lives. It's also the source of the Taurus field, if you're familiar with that the heart creates with its electromagnetic field. And so this is a really important gate in the human design system. In some ways, Ra, who was the founder of human design, said it's kind of where it all comes together, literally, because it's in the gate 2 where the magnetic monopole is that we put the 2 different designs, the black design, if you will, the personality side or the conscious side or the mind. It's called different things. It's the where the planets were, what the moment of your birth. And then the red numbers, which were 88 days prior, approximately, where all the planets were then. And it's known as the unconscious or the body or the design. Different pieces of software will name it somewhat differently. But we get 2 different images, right, that then come together to create your human design body graph. Whereas when you're looking at an astrology chart, it's just the black numbers, right? It's just at that moment of birth. And so it's the magnetic monopole that actually brings those 2 different designs together and creates your human design chart. So that 2 is really important because it's the place that pulls them together and holds them in place that creates this version of your own energy field. So here we are, it's being lit up by the moon, right? And the earth is here, we're grounding ourselves in it. And then we've got this beautiful supermoon, which is going to be really, really bright. It's very close to the earth, relatively speaking. And so it'll have a big effect also on our own physical bodies, as well as the tides and rivers and all of the liquids everywhere really on the planet are influenced by what's happening with the moon. And when we get a supermoon, it's even stronger. So we're all going to be kind of leaning up to that supermoon when it comes, right? Because we're literally that, we're so much of us as water, we're being pulled towards that supermoon, right? It's a beautiful thing, really, when you think about it. And it's calling us really into our heart center, right? Into our G center, where that magnetic monopole is. And the question is so for you is, what are you allowing in? What are you attracting in? What are you receptive to? And are you aware of what you're attracting in? If you're in a situation where things kind of keep happening to you and you don't know why and you're frustrated, well, that's probably because you're not aware of what you're attracting in on some level, right? Because let's remember, our subconscious is way, 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 way bigger than our conscious mind, right? I mean, like literally millions of times bigger. And so there's so much that lives in that part of our psyche and part of our being that can be attracting things to us. And this is part of what we're doing right now, individually and collectively, is bringing programs, bringing wounded parts, bringing trauma, bringing stories, bringing imprints that have been in our soul journey and also that we got from our ancestral line that are in our subconscious, and bringing them up to the surface to decide if we want to carry them forward into the future, right? This is one of just side note here, that Pluto is doing this work now in the gate 60, right? It's saying, what do we want to bring forward and what do we want to leave behind? And so we're all doing this individually and collectively. I know I've been having all kinds of different things come up kind of into my conscious awareness. I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that was in there, right? And I'm aware that it's actually not from this life, because I'm like, that it has a signature of a very, very old imprint, right? That I probably have reactivated through many lives because it was one of those really core, what we think of as limiting beliefs, right? But I could tell it was coming from a level of my being that I hadn't accessed before. And it was actually in my heart. And so I was able to bring that up and then release it. And so you could be asking yourself when you're looking at, wow, is something not working in my life? What might be in my subconscious that I'm unconsciously bringing in, and then I could be grounding it into my earth right now because I'm allowing it in. So this is a great time for you to really be taking a look at what are the thoughts that you're aware of that are running around in your mind, and then also to be actively asking for the programs or the conditions that you are not so aware of, to come into your consciousness, because when it comes into your awareness, that's when you can be at choice, right? If it's just a program that's running around in there, you're not really at choice about it because it's just doing its thing and it's just attracting and orchestrating some of your experiences below the level of your conscious awareness. But when it comes in and you can go, wow, do I want to go on feeling unworthy? Do I want to go on feeling like I'm undeserving or I'm not enough or I'm not good enough or whatever the thing is, right? And so many of us have these different programs that are in there running us without our awareness. So while this super moon is lighting up this gate of allowing, it's a great time to just kind of be saying to yourself, and also full moons are always a time where new things come into awareness, new things are illuminated, because here it is. It's like whatever was in shadow is now being illuminated. So that is one of the ways you can really work with this gate too during this time. And for those of us who are really actively awakening, who are actively saying we are helping to co-create this new earth, this is a really important activity for us to be doing, because we are then preparing ourselves. And let's remember that Jupiter is in the gate of preparation, is we are preparing ourselves to be those citizens of that new earth, to be the participants, the people who are co-creating that. And part of that process is to be letting go, the things that have held us, tied us down to the age of empire, to the old world order that was hierarchical, based on domination, based on violence and coercion. And so now we're bringing out and releasing all of the ways we've been attached to that, whether we've known it or not. And then the earth in the gate 2 is providing a foundation for the sun to be in the gate 1. The 1 is on the other side of the G center from the gate 2, and it is known as self-expression in traditional human design, or purpose or life purpose in quantum human design. Let's remember that the G center is the identity center as well as the center for love and lovability, right? It is our sense of who we are. And so it makes sense that we would have self-expression and purpose be here on that G center. And so it's about how can we express who we are from our hearts? How can we be engaging with life and finding what makes us feel on purpose by tuning into our heart energy, right? Not external definitions of success, not things that we inherited, but really this deep sense of purpose that comes from inside of the core of our being. Tuning into the gate 1, that energy of the gate 1 is really important when you are breaking patterns of the past and looking for what is really mine, what feels good to me, what is going to bring me more life force, what is going to help enliven me rather than drain me. And so this is a place where the sun is lighting this up, whether you have it defined or it's open in your chart. It's open in my chart, but I know I love it when it's lit up here, and love to lean into that sense of what really gives me that deep sense of purpose. And then let's take a look here that the 1 has its mate. The gate 8 is also lit up, and this is being lit up by Uranus. So let's remember Uranus is the god of awakening and sudden changes. It's very electrical, disruptive, kind of kind of energy. I was thinking of it as like that. It's like the cosmic acupuncture, right? So Uranus has been in the gate 20 and is just moving into the gate 8, is retrograde right now. And a couple days after this super moon is going to retrograde back into Taurus. It's been in Gemini since June, and then is going to retrograde back and be in Taurus for a little while. But it's right here on November 5th during this moon when Uranus is going to move into that gate 8, creating this complete channel. So the gate 8 is the gate of contribution in traditional human design or fulfillment in quantum human design. And it's such a lovely channel, right? I'm expressing myself, I'm leaning into my purpose, I'm feeling what brings me more alive, and then that's going to help me articulate what my contribution is, how am I expressing that purpose into the outer world. I really like to think of purpose as something that is kind of for the self. It's like on the inside, and then the contribution is what we're giving out into the world. This is such an important topic. It's actually pillar number 5 of feminine sovereignty that I go over in my book. If you want to check out more about that, I'll put the link for my book down below. So if you want to dive more into purpose and contribution. But one of the things to understand here about this particular channel too is that sometimes it can be a little hard to express because it's coming from this sense of self, coming from this identity center, right? This is not just something I'm saying. This is an expression of who I am, right? A deep sense of that. And the more that you can lean into the love aspect of this, and I don't mean the love aspect like a romantic love, but really the agape love, the love of the all that is, this deep sense of everything is magnificent and connected and beautiful. And it's this, it's more of a quality of being than anything else. And so when you can lean into that, you can feel more confident in yourself as you're getting to express this. And so Uranus is really here. Again, remember, this God of awakening is saying, are you making the contribution that you came here to make? Are you on purpose here? Are you on track? Or are you continuing to cling on to things of the past? Sometimes I see this with people who are in industries that are really, really changing, and they keep trying to find new jobs inside of an industry that is basically disintegrating, right? That's an example of that. If you're in an industry that's disintegrating, you kind of need to look around and see what is the next thing that my heart is going to call me to. And this 1-8 is going to really help you during that time if you're having that experience. Or if you're just feeling like, I am not fulfilled, I am not satisfied, I'm not feeling on purpose, right? This is a wonderful time to be going inside and really, leaning into what is it that is going to give me that sense of joie de vivre. Okay, so we talked about the Earth and the Moon being in the gate 2, right? So that was our first layer. And then we added on the Sun in the gate 1 and Uranus in the gate 8, right? This particular channel, that was our second layer. But let's now zoom out a little bit and look at those 3 gates and note that they're all in the knowing circuit. They're right here in the central channel, right? So the knowing circuit is individual circuitry. It's the largest sub-circuit in the chart. It's massive. Comes in through the central channel here, splits, goes around both sides of the body graph and then up through the central channel, right? And it goes through every center except for the will center. So it's big, it's massive. And the knowing circuit is how you just know things, right? It's not that you learned it anywhere. It's not like you trained in it. It's not like you watched a video about it or read a book about it or anything like that. You just know things. So it's highly, highly intuitive, and it comes from a deep connection to source. Right? It comes to a deep connection to the source that is available inside of you. And let's just remember here that we still have Neptune in the gate 25, which is the gate of the love of spirit. So you're going to have support here from Neptune, which is saying, yes, keep coming inside and tuning into your own source aspect inside of you, whether you call that your divine self or your inner being, your higher self, right? And so we've got this knowing circuit really lit up here right through that through the G center coming into the throat. So my invitation for you is to take a look at what are the really kind of leading edge ideas that are coming in here. The knowing circuit, individual circuitry, it's here to be different. It's here to bring change. It doesn't fit in, right? And it's not meant to fit in. It's meant to be at that leading edge, right? And for those of us who are on a path of awakening, right? And especially for women on this path of awakening, we're really reclaiming our intuitive abilities. We were made wrong for, millennia for our intuitive abilities. And so awakening women are really in this process of reclaiming our intuition. So whenever we see this knowing circuit lit up like this, and you can look for it in your own human design chart as well, then you want to be going, okay, so how can I tap into this form of intuition? How can it bring me more understanding? I think it's super important because we need to be more tapped into super consciousness. We need to be getting more guidance and perspectives and understandings and insights coming from the inside, because our outer world, not only is it chaotic, but we can't really even look to our past as well. Certainly not the last few thousand years where we were really encased in this age of empire, as I was speaking of earlier, right? Okay, so we've got lots of individual circuitry going on. We have another prominent gate, which is individual circuitry. That's the gate 34, which is being lit up by Mars and by Mercury. So the gate 34 is known as the gate of power. It's also known as the busy gate. It's busy, busy, busy. It has a lot of energy to be engaging with life. And so this is an important gate for us to be getting a hold of, because it can be so busy, it can kind of run us around if we're not really paying attention to it, right? Sometimes people have this defined in their charts, can be really busy, not really doing a whole lot because they're kind of spinning around. But when you can really grab a hold of it and direct it, right, it can be extremely beneficial. And this is kind of, for multitasking, for example, being able to handle multiple things at the same time. So here we've got Mars, who is our spiritual warrior, right, in his higher expression. We're actively upgrading our Mars, actively bringing Mars out of being the god of war into being the spiritual warrior. And here he's got a lot of power behind him. And so remember that Mars is our agency. It's our ability to act. And so Mars is here. Okay, what are we going to take action with? I have plenty of energy to do it. And then Mercury's like, I'm going to give voice to it too. We can express this. I can communicate about it. So you're going to be getting these other insights from what we've already looked at. And then how are you going to actualize it? You're going to have plenty of energy and plenty of support to be able to multitask with it, be able to handle complex projects that you're working on, be able to communicate about it, right? So you can look at those different things about what's coming in around your self-expression, around your purpose, around your contribution. What are you magnetizing in? What are you allowing in? What are you allowing yourself to receive? So we always have a dynamic, right, between being active and being more receptive, right? Engaging, moving outward, being receptive and attracting. And it's a kind of creative tension that we see here in the chart, because here we've got this beautiful gate 2 lit up, but then we also have that 34. So you're going to need to navigate that kind of creative tension there and see how you can really access that energy for action and for agency, but do it in a way that you're resourcing from that deep sense of intuitive knowing. And then the last layer here is, let's bring in Venus. So Venus, who of course is the ruler of Taurus, and this is moon is in Taurus. So Venus is going to be extra strong during this particular moon. And Venus is lighting up the gate 50. So the gate 50 is on the spleen center. It's a tribal circuit, so it's not individual circuitry. All the other ones we've talked about have been in individual circuitry. And the gate 50 is this beautiful energy for kind of knowing who we are as a tribe. How do we understand that? In traditional human design, the 50 is known as the gate of values. And Venus is, in human design, is considered our values. So we've got double value going on here, right? And I always like to think of Venus as our divine feminine energy, of course, also. about beauty, right? Compassion, generosity, all of those characteristics, caring, that we associate with the divine feminine. And so Venus is providing some ballast there for Mars, right? Mars is like, let's get busy. Let's take some action. I've got tons of power. And then Venus is like, yeah, do it in alignment with your values. Do it in alignment with what's good for the tribe as well as what's good for you, right? And then make sure to talk about it in those terms. Talk about how we can know what's good for us and what's good for the tribe, and how we navigate that kind of a dynamic, right? Because that's a big part of what we're doing here on planet Earth right now, is finding our ways to really be able to have our individual sovereignty, but to do that in the context of community, which is the Aquarian way, right? We're moving into the Aquarian age. And so here we are, we've got Venus that is saying, yes, we do want to allow in. Yes, we do want to self-express. Yes, we do want to contribute. Yes, we do want to have energy to be able to take actions about that. But we always want to do it in alignment with our highest values. So we've got a lot of support during this full moon for our ability to wake up to the things that have been holding us back, where we haven't been self-expressed, where we haven't been making the contributions where we want to make, where maybe we haven't been receptive even to the things we really long for, right? And how can we wake up to all of the different resistances that we've had to be who we really are? And then how can we step into a deeper sense of what really matters to us, what our values are, and then to take positive actions around that in co-creating the new earth in a collaborative way that honors both our individual sovereignty and the well-being of the tribe, right? Or of the collective. And if you'd like some more support to know how to apply what I've been talking about and always talk about in the transits with your own human design chart, I do have a free training you can get. It's called Understanding the Human Design Transits. It's a video and a template that you can use, and that'll really help you understand that. So I'll put the link for that down below as well. All right, my friends. Be good to yourself, be kind to yourself, be kind to the people around you. We are in a very tumultuous and potent time, very fecund, very fertile in terms of what it is we're wanting to bring forth. So just refuse the impulse to want to look out into the outer world and get really depressed by it or fall into despair. And instead say, okay, I know that something new is really emerging. I can feel the waking up that's happening inside of me. I can feel the waking up that's happening in the world around me, right? And I'm going to focus on that instead. Many blessings. Much love. Bye for now.